Ever really stopped and thought about what you were up to at, say, 54? Like, it's a time when a lot of us are really hitting our stride, maybe a bit wiser, hopefully. But today's deep dive, well, it's about a really tough reality for a lot of autistic people, one where reaching that age, it's not a given.
Yeah, it's a conversation we definitely need to be having more of. And, the research we're looking at, honestly, it left me kind of speechless.
Seriously, tell me about it. This study, it was published in the British Journal of Psychiatry, and let me tell you, it hit me like a ton of bricks. Autistic folks, they can have a life expectancy that's a whopping 16 years shorter than everyone else. 16 years. That means, on average, they're looking at a lifespan of 54 compared to 70 for the general population.
And it's not just some abstract number, right? This represents so many stories untold, dreams never getting the chance, just this massive loss of potential.
It really makes you think, what's at the root of such a huge difference?
It's complicated, for sure. But one massive part of it is this thing called diagnostic overshadowing. So picture this. You're autistic, and you've got a physical health issue going on. But because of how autism can sometimes make communication harder, those physical symptoms, they get mistaken for something purely psychological.
So instead of treating the real problem, they're blaming it on the autism. That's just awful.
Exactly. And it happens way too often, unfortunately. Then there's the lack of understanding some healthcare providers have when it comes to sensory sensitivities.
Can you give an example of what that looks like in real life? I'm having a little trouble picturing it.
Totally. Imagine you're going to the doctor, right?
Mm.
But the bright lights, the weird smells, even the paper on the exam table, it's all sensory overload. You might struggle to even explain your symptoms, or you get so overwhelmed you just have to leave.
Wow, I never even thought about it like that. That'd make a regular doctor's appointment a nightmare.
Exactly. And without the right support, without doctors who get it, these little things, they become bigger issues, and that impacts their health and well-being over the long haul.
So the system itself is working against them, keeping them from getting the care they need. It's heartbreaking.
Sadly, that's often the reality. But it's not just the physical stuff. Mental health plays a huge role in all of this, too.
It really makes you think about how connected our mental and physical health really are.
Oh, absolutely. And, for autistic people dealing with mental health, it can be extra tough. We're talking about way higher rates of anxiety, depression, things that can cast a really long shadow. And then there's the suicide attempts. The numbers there are really concerning.
Yeah, the research we did for this was eye-opening, to say the least. It said that something like 11% of autistic people have tried to take their own lives. That's more than double what you see in the general population.
It's a scary thought. Really underscores how much we need accessible mental health support.
Hmm.
Imagine constantly dealing with sensory overload, struggling to say what you need, and just facing a world that often feels confusing and overwhelming. It's a lot.
Yeah, I can see how that could lead to feeling isolated, even hopeless.
Exactly. And that's why having a good support network is so crucial. Family, friends, therapists who get it, who understand the unique challenges and the strengths of autistic people.
Like they say, it takes a village, right?
Now more than ever. And on top of the mental health aspect, we got to talk about some serious physical health risks, too. Did you know that almost 30% of autistic people deal with epilepsy?
30%. Honestly, before this deep dive, I had no clue epilepsy was that prevalent in the autistic community.
It's a big deal. Really highlights how complex this all is. Epilepsy, with the seizures and everything, it can really impact lifespan and quality of life. And beyond that, there's more and more evidence showing higher risks of heart disease in autistic adults.
So it's like this perfect storm of challenges, healthcare barriers, mental health disparities, physical health risks. Just talking about it is overwhelming.
It's heavy stuff, no doubt. And then you add on the everyday things that many autistic individuals struggle with.
When you say everyday things, what do you mean? Can you break that down a bit?
Think about the basics most of us don't even think twice about. Eating healthy, regular exercise, hanging out with friends. For some autistic people, just eating a balanced diet can be incredibly hard because of sensory sensitivities. Imagine food textures being unbearable, every meal a battle.
I never looked at it that way. It's like even the simplest self-care becomes a huge ordeal.
Exactly. And then you've got social anxiety. For someone dealing with that, going to a busy gym or a group fitness class, it can be paralyzing. It's not about being lazy, it's a very real fear.
Yeah, it's like every single part of their day presents a new hurdle, just adding to the stress, making it even harder to prioritize well-being.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And over time, all of this, the big things and the small things, they add up, taking a toll on both their physical and mental health.
So it's not just one single thing, it's this whole web of factors contributing to this shorter life expectancy. It's heartbreaking, honestly, and kind of infuriating.
It really is. But I truly believe that getting this, understanding how deep these challenges run, that's the first step to actually making a difference. Because once you see the problem clearly, you can start to see the solutions too.
This deep dive has been, well, a lot. We've uncovered some really difficult stuff. It's tough to face this reality that the system often failed autistic individuals, and that leads to a shorter lifespan.
Heavy stuff, no doubt. But I want to be clear, seeing how big these problems are, it's not about giving up. It's about fueling our commitment to finding solutions. And the good news is there are glimmers of hope out there.
Okay, so tell me, what can we do to turn this around?
Well, first off, we've got to seriously rethink healthcare for autistic people. And that starts with training, making sure healthcare professionals are equipped to actually meet their needs. We need doctors who understand diagnostic overshadowing, who can look past communication differences and provide care that's both sensitive and truly effective.
So creating a system where autistic people feel heard, truly heard.
Exactly. And that includes making mental health services way more accessible. What if every autistic person could easily get to a therapist who specializes in autism or find support groups where everyone gets it? We've got to go beyond just noticing the high rates of anxiety, depression, and suicide. We need a safety net that's actually there to catch people.
Sounds like a huge task, but also a hopeful one.
Yeah.
What about those daily challenges we talked about, the lifestyle stuff? Any solutions there?
That's where community steps in. Imagine gyms with special hours that are sensory sensitive, grocery stores with times for dimmed lights and quieter music, even just social spaces designed with neurodiversity in mind. And these aren't just fantasies. These changes are happening thanks to advocates, allies, and autistic people themselves.
It's amazing to see communities coming together to build more inclusive spaces.
It really is.
Yes.
And the more we talk about all this, the more awareness we raise, the closer we get to a world where those changes are just dot normal.
So to everyone listening, remember, you're not alone. Every little thing you do makes a difference. Learn more, speak up, support those organizations out there fighting for autistic rights, and above all, treat every single person with kindness, respect, and understanding, autistic or not.
Perfectly said. We've got to see the human side of all these statistics, the potential that's waiting. It's not just about living longer, it's about making those years meaningful, full of life.
And that wraps up our deep dive for today. It was a lot, but remember, the conversation never really ends. Keep learning, keep the conversation going, and keep fighting for a world that embraces neurodiversity in every way. Until next time, stay curious.